right, let's go through this this Elizabeth Warren thing, because this was a massive problem for a massive may understate it, but certainly a major misstep. You'll recall when Jeff Sessions, we were covering the Jeff Sessions hearing, that we talked about a letter from Coretta Scott King that was submitted to the Senate during their judiciary hearings for Jeff Sessions when he was nominated during the Reagan era, I believe it was.
Yes. Too racist for Reagan's America.
To be a federal judge. And Ted Kennedy was the senior member, I believe it was, of the judiciary at the time, and really just basically said Jeff Sessions is a throwback to a very bad era. And so Elizabeth Warren, and this letter at the time was not put into the record by Strom Thurmond, I guess, who was the ranking member of the committee. And it was dug up, escapes me by whom, I think from the Washington Post, but I can't remember. And it basically was like a 5-page letter saying Jeff Sessions is horrible, and he is, and to know, he obviously came from Alabama, to know the struggles that black people had gone through to secure the right to vote. Jeff Sessions not just worked against that, but actively worked against people who were helping them to vote. I mean, he sort of doubled down on it. And so Elizabeth Warren goes on the Senate floor. She talks about Senator Kennedy's comments and then proceeds to read the letter. And this is what happens. This is Chairman Steve Daines. He is obviously not chairman, he's a senator. And he is the president pro temp of the Senate at this point. Sometimes somebody will sit in. Okay.
Blacks still fall far short of having equal participation in the electoral process, particularly in the South. Efforts continue to be made to deny blacks access to the polls, even where blacks constitute the majority of the voters. It has been a long uphill struggle to keep alive the vital legislation that protects the most fundamental right to vote. A person who has exhibited so much hostility to the enforcement of those laws.
The senator is reminded that it is a violation of Rule 19 of the standing rules of the Senate to impute to another senator or senators any conduct or motive unworthy or becoming a senator.
Mr. President, I don't think I quite understand. I'm reading a letter from Coretta Scott King to the Judiciary Committee from 1986 that was admitted into the record. I'm simply reading what she wrote about what the nomination of Jeff Sessions to be a federal court judge meant and what it would mean in history for her.
This is a reminder, not pertinent necessarily to what you just shared. However, you stated that a sitting senator is a disgrace to the Department of Justice.
I think that may have been Senator Kennedy.
And this,
it is through. Although I would be glad to repeat it in my own words.
the rule applies
Then I'm
to imputing conduct or motive through any form or voice to a sitting form of words includes quotes, articles, or other materials.
All right, pause it for a moment. All right, so what's going on here is that she quoted Senator Ted Kennedy, then went on to read the Coretta Scott King letter. At one point, somebody got the idea that, you should make a point of the fact that she shouldn't have said that. Senate rules are such that you can't say that. It's in Rule 19 or whatever it is. And I don't know who the aide is that's basically walking Daines through it. I don't know if she's the parliamentarian. I don't think she is. But she is basically feeding him the lines for this because he can't articulate it. And she is feeding him the lines. So Warren is being chastised for quoting Ted Kennedy because you cannot malign the intent of a sitting senator, even though in this instance he's also a nominee, even if you're using somebody else's words. So continue.
So quoting Senator Kennedy, calling then nominee Sessions a disgrace is a violation of Senate rules. It was certainly not in 1986.
In the opinion of the chair, it is.
So let me understand then.
And the senator is warned.
So can I ask a question in the opinion of the chair? I want to understand what this rule
The
means.
senator will state her inquiry.
So is it the contention of the chair that under the rules of the Senate, I am not allowed to accurately describe public views of Senator Sessions, public positions of Senator Sessions, quote, public statements of Senator Sessions?
The chair has not made a ruling with respect to the senator's comments.
The chair has not made a ruling as respect to the senator's comments.
I'm a puppet.
Following process and tradition
The senator is following process and tradition
by reminding the senator from Massachusetts
by reminding the senator of Massachusetts of the rule.
and the
Well, I'm asking for
And the things
what
of
this
which it
rule
applies.
means in this context. So can I continue with Coretta Scott King's letter?
The senator may continue.
Thank you. I'll pick up then with Mrs. King's letter.
Okay, so she then goes on to continue to read Coretta Scott King's letter for 4 or 5 minutes at least. And then somebody must have woke up Mitch McConnell. Or somebody had the great idea at that point of like, now we can get her.
You know what we can do? We can really shut down this whole Coretta Scott King letter thing.
Well, but the Coretta Scott King letter is over.
It's over.
No.
That's true.
She reads the whole thing. And then she goes on to be talking, just sort of almost basically wrapping up.
What are they expecting her to do?
Well, this is why it's clearly this was a power play on their part, right? Because the offense came almost 5 or 10 minutes before McConnell gets down.
20.
15, 20 minutes before McConnell gets down there. This was a calculated, poorly calculated, premeditated attempt to basically put Elizabeth Warren in her place. Here's McConnell.
Minuteman that really tells the story of how sexual violence impacts Massachusetts. And this is what it said. They are mothers, daughters, sisters, fathers, sons, and brothers.
Mr. President.
They are
Mr. President.
The majority leader.
The senators impugn the motives and conduct of our colleague from Alabama as warned by the chair. Senator Warren, quote, said Senator Sessions has used the awesome power of his office to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens. I call the senator to order under the provisions of Rule 19.
Mr. President.
All right, pause it. Let me tell you what's going on here. Aside from Orrin Hatch looking at what has come out of his nose in the backdrop there.
That was really intense.
So McConnell comes out and just basically says, Rule 19, we should censure Elizabeth Warren, and all activity stops. There's been a motion there for a ruling from the chair. The chair is about to make the ruling. That means that they've got to have a vote to censure her. She attempts to object. Elizabeth Warren does. It goes nowhere. Continue.
President.
The senator from Massachusetts.
Mr. President, I am surprised that the words of Coretta Scott King are not suitable for debate in the United States Senate. I ask leave of the Senate to continue my remarks.
Is there objection?
Object.
I appeal the ruling.
Objection is heard.
And then they continue to go on and have the vote and censure her and prevent her from having any more participation in the debate on Jeff Sessions. Now, there are a couple of different strategies that we're hearing about the Supreme Court that they're going to take to try and avoid getting rid of the filibuster totally. By narrowing it, making them do a talking filibuster. There's all sorts of different things like this. But I don't know if this was basically McConnell saying, hey, here's what we intend to do in the future. We're going to try this maneuver out. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot happening here that we're not, that it's not unclear to us what we're watching right now. I think there's a lot of plans on McConnell trying to figure out how can they get around nuking the filibuster if there's a filibuster against Gorsuch. Because look, the vote's going to be the vote here. Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Over. Subscribe.